Well, the Supreme Court has finally made their ruling on these tyrannical vaccine mandates pushed and forced by the Biden administration. And thankfully, one of the rulings came back in support of we the people and in support of the Constitution, blocking Biden's vaccine mandate for larger businesses with over 100 employees. This is a huge win for freedom and a huge win for patriots. However, we lost the battle when it came to healthcare workers who are funded by federal money. Unfortunately, Kavanaugh, a President Trump pick, decided to go along with liberal judges and support a vaccine mandate for our nurses and healthcare facilities there. So that's an unfortunate loss. Now, with that said, the Biden administration, as well as the Democratic Party, have gone into full force mode, devising sickening plots to go after unvaccinated people, regardless of the ruling. Now, before I get into it, I want to tell you about one of the biggest sales that we have of the year with Restricted Republic. And I'm only going to offer this for a limited time because we really don't make anything off of this. For an entire first year, you can get Restricted Republic for $40 for the entire year. Use the coupon code half off, and that'll get it to you for $40. This is less than $4 per month. We're talking $3 and some change for every single month. This is a huge opportunity. And with the amount of information that we have on there right now, I really want to encourage you to check it out. I can't tell you the information that you are missing by not being there. To restrictedrepublic.com and get that first entire year for $40. Use the coupon code half off. All right. So let's start with the fact of how the Democratic Party has upped their ante against unvaccinated people despite the Supreme Court ruling. Take a look at this first article here, and this is on thehill.com. Biden calls on employers to mandate vaccines despite the court ruling. In other words, he's telling businesses to go ahead and do it anyway, no matter what the Supreme Court says. And here's what it states. As a result of the court's decision, it is now up to states and individual employers to determine whether to make their workplace as safe as possible for employees and whether their businesses will be safe for consumers during this pandemic by requiring employees to take the simple and effective steps of getting vaccinated, the president said in a statement. The president vowed to put pressure on companies to voluntarily, or basically force, push, really pressure companies to create their own vaccine or test requirements. He said that the Supreme Court ruling doesn't stop him from using his voice as president to advocate for employers to do the right thing to protect Americans' health and economy. And he says, I call on business leaders to immediately join those who have already stepped up, including 1/3 of Fortune 100 companies, and institute vaccine requirements to protect their workers, customers, and community, Biden said in a statement. In other words, you do what I say right now, or else I'm going to put some kind of pressure on you to make you voluntarily make people, to voluntarily make you do something. It's kind of ironic. It kind of doesn't go together, but this is exactly what he's doing. And that's not all. The day before, the announcement came out for the Supreme Court of the United States stating that Biden's vaccine mandate on businesses is blocked. The day before that, Joy Reid made a really peculiar statement. Take a listen here.
Let's talk about what other countries are doing, because at some point, I feel like people who are willfully unvaccinated, fine, don't get vaccinated. But they need to start to pay a little bit more of the cost of what this is doing to our system. At some point, don't we have to make people who are just saying, I'm willing to take the risk to be unvaccinated, take the risk for me and take the risk for everyone I come in contact with? Shouldn't they have to pay more into the system because they are collapsing our health system? They're the ones in the ERs.
So in Joy Reid's liberal, crazed mind, who, by the way, she has the worst ratings on her entire network, and there's rumors going around that they might give her particular show the boot, but that's just rumors at this point. But I digress. She is literally stating that if you are unvaccinated, you should pay higher premiums in insurance and pay more if you have to go to the hospital or maybe not even be covered or something of that nature. Would somebody mind asking her the question, well, are you going to apply that same logic to, morbidly obese people? Are they going to have to pay a higher premium? Or what about people who go and get those DNA tests and show, or gene tests, and they go and test and they say, oh, you're more prone to this. Are they going to have to pay more for those insurance? And what about people who who drink alcohol, they should too. Do you see the logic of what is going on here? They're not asking the appropriate questions. They're just condemning and criticizing. This is above and beyond anything I've ever seen. And I can't help but think, is this the next Democrat plan or scheme that's being devised against the unvaccinated? After all, the entire Biden administration is blaming the entire pandemic on the unvaccinated. God forbid that they point anything at themselves. And right now, I need you to be aware of something that I've already talked about on Restrictive Republic already. But here it is, House Resolution 4980. Now, this was put in place in 2021. However, I believe after this ruling by the Supreme Court, this could gain more traction. What is this? Well, this is Congress's attempt, and it's signed by 3 Democrats. Of course, you can see China's Eric Swalwell there and the other 2 up here. But these Democrats are trying to make it where you have to have a vaccine passport to fly domestically, to direct the Secretary of Homeland Security to make sure that if you want to fly, right, that you are fully vaccinated against COVID-19. I believe this is one of the next steps by the Democrat, and that may not be the only step. I'm also going to state this, and again, I stated this in a report on Restricted earlier yesterday, but I also think that they're going to start putting out any federal money that they're putting out to states or whatever. They're going to say, hey, we're not going to give you that federal money unless you follow these dictates and orders. I do see that as a potential coming up in the future as well. Meanwhile, right after the Supreme Court of the United States announcement, Joe Biden had something else. Not only did he go against the court's ruling and say businesses do it anyway, but he also called on social media to crack down on disinformation. Here we are on dailywire.com. Biden calls for social media censorship on the virus. Deal with the misinformation. Do it now. Deal with it now, and deal with it today. This is the message that he sends after the SCOTUS made their ruling. And the reason, and the question I have for big tech, are they going to, actually correct the president of the United States on multiple misinformation statements that he's made? And the truth of the matter is, it's not, because they're not cracking down on actual misinformation. They're cracking down on real information that they do not want out. Anyhow, there are some big movements making way, or little movements, slight movements in the right direction, shall I say, after the Supreme Court of the United States closing down Biden's vaccine mandate for businesses. Now we've got some movement where the military is finally approving some of these religious exemptions. I'm going to show you this one first. This one here, Liberty Counsel, this is before SCOTUS ruling. The military has denied every religious exemption from the shot mandate, every single one thus far. However, after the SCOTUS ruling, this just in, American Military News, Marines have finally granted two religious COVID vaccine waivers from the entire military, 2 of them. Now, that's not much movement, not much at all, but it's movement in the right direction. Meanwhile, the Democrats are failing, and they're failing a lot. They failed on the filibuster, which they never should have brought in the first place. The only reason that they would be talking about what they're doing with the filibuster is because they want to subvert and radically change the United States of America. And they've said that many, many times. And it's not something you want to be changed into. We're talking radical socialist policies here. And this is something they've been working on. And these mandates and these measures have really lost a lot of Democrat support. And they're really suffering. This is why Biden's numbers have dropped. Here's Greg Gutfeld on Fox News. Biden is losing his supporters, including Democrats and the media. 33% approval rating. By the way, that's 1% higher than Trump's worst approval rating ever. I predict he's even going to go lower here. And not only that, but his butt buddy, if you will, my term for it, Anthony Fauci is at 31% trust rating. Only 31% of Americans trust megalomaniac Dr. Fauci. So there you have it. Lots of headway. Anyhow, I'd love to get your comments. Please subscribe to the channel. YouTube has been removing people en masse. Please don't forget that. And with that, please don't forget to check out my partner at healthwithlisa.com. If you guys have not tried this stuff, I want to encourage you to do that. Hopefully you've noticed some of the difference that it has had on my skin alone. I've been taking it, but Health with Lisa has all 5 collagens that you need, and it's tasteless. You could put it in your coffee. It doesn't have any flavor or taste, but check it out and get the collagen that your body needs. This has really done wonders for me. So So get to healthwithlisa.com and check that out and get up to 51% off. Anyhow, thanks again for tuning in. I'm Lisa Haven, signing out.